So good morning, everyone. It's Douglas coming to you from Cape Town. And today we're talking to my good friend, Lily in Jakarta. And yeah, Lily, we met in Spain.
Yeah, so many years ago.
Yeah, I always remember the big thing is you saying to me, no, you must come to Jakarta. You must come and teach in Jakarta. And me going, no, 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 I'm so busy. And then you said, we'll send you to Indonesia, to Bali first to go surfing. I'm like, excellent. When do you want me? It was so clever. It was, and
I
you
remember
introduced me to such a wonderful world of Indonesia.
that. Okay. Of Bali, I think. Oh, Indonesia, are you sure? But like you've only been to Jakarta and Bali.
Yeah, look, I absolutely love Bali, and Matt and Amy absolutely love Bali, and I think we made sure that we had so many family holidays attached to me going and teaching with you in Jakarta,
Yeah.
and but yeah, I think even in Jakarta there is a thing, and there's something about the Indonesian people. There's a spirit and a happiness, even when things aren't happy, that and or when things are difficult, that is quite amazing compared to around the world.
Yeah, yeah. I guess it's true. Even now, I mean, like if you're on the street right now, it's like you can see the people are like some of them are like nothing is going on.
Yeah.
But we, of course, we use the mask, but spirit wise, we're still very optimistic, and then you know, you
Yeah,
know,
and I think that's so important because I think this has been going on so long, and particularly this last week, I've been having conversations with people who suddenly are going, I've been so good, I've been controlling where I put my focus and my mindset and looking after myself, but someone snuck in that conversation that derailed me and took me down, and then I was down in the dumps, and it's so difficult to get out. And I've just realized that I've had quite a few of those conversations with people in my network and my world, that you know so when you have um, almost as a cultural background, a level of happiness. And I think I remember the first time coming back from Bali and sharing that with a group of friends, and going, what amazed me most was there were people who were surviving on $1 a day,
mm,
and maybe less in
mm,
Bali,
mm,
and had nothing, but yet their happiness, their generosity, their
mm,
was incredible. And I remember one particular friend of mine, Peter, being really angry with me, going, that's like bullshit. There's no way, you don't know what they're going through. I said, no, no, listen, the people that we're spending time with, we're not in the fancy hotel. We're actually down on the beach, and our friends, and with an Uncle Bala who basically does umbrellas on the beach, and when there are no tourists, there's nothing.
yeah,
but
yeah,
yet but yet the happiness it amazed me. So happiness therefore becomes a choice, I suppose. I'm just thinking out loud.
mm-hmm,
So why do you think
mm-hmm.
in
Why?
Indonesia?
What?
Yeah, why are the people like that? Because it's amazing.
Why are we like we are right now? I think first is I think personally it's because first the weather is almost the same for the whole year. This is just my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, well,
It's
that's all.
very predictable.
Yeah.
It's very predictable. Like the whole year round, you only have either hot or very hot, right?
Yes.
So hot or very hot. Well, rainy season, yes, but then rain is just rain. But I think that's in my opinion, that makes us like we know what's coming, what's going to be tomorrow or the day after tomorrow or next month, and I believe like as human we like that kind of stability or something that you can I don't know how to say it in English, but not predict, but tomorrow it's just like whether an umbrella or no umbrella, and we don't really need umbrella because we go by car, right?
Yeah.
And you always have helped, right? You don't have to be super rich to have helper, to have your if you're talking about people who's not as fortunate as most of us, I mean the poorer people, they still have each other, because they help each other. So I think it's not as difficult as I was in the state, right, studying in the state, and it's like you could be very, very lonely. You could be like alone. That doesn't happen here, I guess. So I think that's the most important thing, like that you can always have somebody.
Well, I like that because I think how quickly you and Nico became part of our family, and how easy it was for Amy and Matt and myself to have you guys as part of our family, and then of course Nuddy, who's my brother from another mother, and he, just so everyone knows who Nuddy is. Nuddy actually was one of your students, but lives in Bali, and you'd said, "Hey, Doug's coming. I need you to look after him for 3 days. Don't let him eat any street food. I don't want him arriving in Jakarta vomiting and."
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The first time you went to Bali first, then Jakarta, right? Yes. I
Yeah.
was not very, very happy at the beginning with the idea, because most people will go to the holiday after they finish their work, not the other way around. And then I was afraid that you got too carried away.
Me? Never. Never. But I think what you say is so true. It's that it feels like everyone's helping everyone. There is that sense of, like, it's community is just normal. It's
Mm.
and yeah, I think because I've never quite been able to put my finger on it, and it is that wherever you are, people somehow are supporting each other, even in
Mhm.
small ways. And it's not
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm going to sit up in my ivory tower and give you a donation or whatever. It's actually people really helping people.
Mhm. Yep. Right. I'm not talking about money wise only,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
no, no, so but something like I remember there was like in Singapore, for instance. I'm not saying, but it's a different culture
Mm.
that everyone, if there's even a good course, okay, they might not share it with other people because competition is very, very high, right? So everybody's taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
Like here, you go to one course and then suddenly the next day everyone is like telling you should take it, you should take it, without thinking that at the end of the day they might be your competitor. This is just one example of.
No, but I've seen that around the world now. Like when I got into professional sport and working with different teams, I did that because I thought, what an amazing way to get the message of activation out to the world. And I discovered quite quickly it was about the worst way to do that, because the minute a team, an athlete found the competitive advantage, they didn't share with anyone. In fact, they went opposite, sometimes the other way. When someone would
Mhm.
ask them about it, they go, "Oh no, that's rubbish. That doesn't work," because they were trying to say, "I don't want you to know what I'm doing." And I found that, like, I was very naive with that, and it was one of the reasons why I shifted out of the sporting arena a lot, because that wasn't the goal of what I was doing. That was to get the message out and share, and you know let people find it, and make up their own mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But in some area, I think in some countries or in some area, even in Indonesia, there are some cities, not many, but they are like that as well. I mean, like they keep it. If it is a good thing, they keep it to themselves. Doesn't matter whether it's a good doctor, whether it's a good course, whether it's a good restaurant, whether it's a good hairdresser, a good plastic surgeon, or whatever. Like some people are just like we share it, most of us, but in some cities it's it's not like that. They keep it to themselves.
And the fact that you said that people are like out on the street, and although they're wearing masks, it's normal, it's everything's okay. I think the people who are struggling the most are the ones who feel alone, who are, feel totally disconnected. That and you know, a lot of people I speak to, they whether they're told they have to like stay away from people, like in the UK at the moment, if your family and my family agree to be in a bubble, we can meet with each other, but nobody else outside of that. But there are a lot of people that won't even do that. They are so afraid and they've withdrawn so far that they
Mm.
won't do that. But and somehow when you're in community, the fear doesn't seem to be as big. When you're alone, fear becomes a very big and very real thing.
I guess so. It like, for instance, in the studio right now, like in the facility, like we started to see the older people, come in, because at the beginning, the children, will say no, because they're afraid that, the the older generation will get infected. But then they realize that this is what they're saying, the children, that if they keep their parents away, they get more, like they got sick even worse from other sickness. So in fact they started to come, and then of course they choose the time where they are the only ones in the studio, so in the facility. But they started to come, because even the children started to realize, it's even worse than they'll die or something else instead of,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and die unhappy.
And if community is that thing that brings you happiness, and that's the thing that you're going, no, you can't have it. Well, absolutely. Then you're saying no community, no happiness. That's yeah, that's quite amazing. So you now, because you sent me that beautiful video of another facility that you've opened, which looks, geez,
Not yet, not yet, not yet.
okay, not yet, but wow, it looks like 5-star plus hotel almost.
Yes.
Like it's a magical studio. What is going on in that one?
Um, well, I did not build that one, okay, because that's not my style. My style is always like, brownies or that kind of thing. But this one is, I think she built it for like, she had a partner, and then something went wrong. I don't know what. Then I don't know. It just happened. We talk. Um, and we said yes, instead of, we're having difficulties as well, right, trying to survive with
Yeah.
two facility or so the third one will not be because the two are physiotherapy clinic, right, right, but this one will be more into wellness only instead of physiotherapy.
Okay.
But what we see at the moment is, wellness is very, people come not because they want to exercise, or they just want, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
People just come to be with you, to people just come to see you, right? People come to see you, not because they
Well,
really need
because we
to
need to
exercise
connect. We
or
need, yeah, yeah, yeah.
so. Yeah.
So exercise is just the excuse. Yeah. But
Yes,
that's
exactly. Yeah. So nowadays it's true. Yeah.
but it is also, it's a brave thing when everyone else is like holding on tight to step in and bring something new again. Brave, it really is. When, because most people are closing things down, and and you guys are going, no,
Oh, yeah.
let's go the other way. Look, it wasn't part of the plan, but it happened.
To be honest, we were not thinking about it as well, because we were thinking about closing down the second one, okay, the new one, because it's like, it's not, we're not losing money, but it's, we're not making money, and like at the end of the day we have to make money, right? So we were thinking about downsizing, Instead of, we were thinking about the first facility is always fine, but the second facility we were thinking about downsizing, making it a little bit smaller. Then of course we pray, we pray, and then we fast, we pray, and suddenly things changed. Like I said, suddenly people started to, I think it started like 2-3 months ago. People started to feel that it's not getting better in Indonesia, it's getting worse. But I think people continue their life.
Yeah.
And
So, sometimes you actually have to get on with it again.
yeah, and then so I think it's like always like that. When you're really when you're really afraid, the only thing is you will get up and then you will face it, right? So I think mostly that's what happened. It's not that they are like in the US, maybe they don't want to wear the mask, or they come with a lot of sanitizer. you know Most of the girls have their own wipes, air freshener, alcohol. So it's like with one bag full of everyone has that thing. But they fought back. So and it was a relief, because suddenly the last 3 months was like, okay, we could continue, and
We can
then
do
come
this.
this opportunity, and I was like, okay. And
Yeah.
then of course, after this, it's people are going to really, really take care of themselves, right? Like exercise. That was, I'm
Well,
looking
yes,
forward.
that's what we want. Hey, we want people realizing that you have to be responsible for yourself. Well, I think just what you were saying, that people have realized that they must exercise, but basically people have realized that you have to be responsible to take care of yourself. You know, it's big, because and that's it, and personal responsibility, and this is what we want from our clients anyway, whether there's COVID or not, is take responsibility. I can't heal you. I can show you the way. I can help you unlock stuff, but you still have to do the work and take some responsibility in that process.
Yep, yep.
And those that do really well, and those that don't just come back with the same thing over and over. And most of those people are still happy to keep coming back. Oh, but you make me feel so good. Do it again. But eventually you go, yeah, I'm bored now. Let's do something new.
Yeah. Okay. The funny thing, with what you're saying, remember I was telling you about the pro golfer who
Yes.
came. I don't usually, me, like if they come, they're happy, it's good. They don't, I don't mind, I don't care, I don't really want to. Not that I don't care, but I don't really work that hard anymore, right? But ever since this kind of thing, I really have to make sure that each person counts, right? I mean, like, they could bring me more people, and I'm coming back to working, I'm teaching again, I'm seeing clients again. So like I was telling you about, I was under pressure. Maybe I was so exhausted. I mean, like, I slept for like, I don't know, 12 hours a night, and I was not very happy, because he sent me the video. Of course he's happy, okay, but then I was very exhausted. And then the next day he was very happy, and then he played again. He sent me a video. He said, I'm getting even better today. So he came again this morning. So I was thinking, okay, I don't care. I don't expect too much. If it happens, it happens. So yeah, and then he said, like, suddenly at the beginning of the session, he said, like, I'm sending you my student, because he's the teacher, right? Like, he's a coach, not the teacher, but he coaches like 5 6, because he's a pro golfer, right? So but he teaches as well, because there's nothing to do now. No tournament, no nothing.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm sending you students, my students. He said, like, okay. So
Yeah,
that's
but
it.
but 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 you see, so just so people know, like, the context of this, you and I had chatted about him, and you'd sent me something about his swing that we just did a quick analysis on. But after you worked with him, you were exhausted, and I'd
Yeah.
said to you, I know what
Yeah.
that is, because I've done it. We've all done it. you see someone and you go, oh, if I can just get this person to buy in, they will open this up, and or they will become this and that. And then what you do is you put your expectation of the outcome in front of what you're doing. And it means you're not good at what you're doing. And if you get an outcome, it's because you worked so hard that you're exhausted and sacrificed yourself. And it's one of the hardest disciplines of
Yeah.
being able to go, like when you and I have done private sessions with your clients and with like politicians and billionaires, and I get paid very, very well. And it's the most interesting thing to be in a situation to go, I have to let go of the outcome. I can't go, you're paying me a large amount of money, I had better get a result. And I remember the time when I came back just to see clients, and we were up in Pa Eddie's office, and we had one of the generals come in, and the general had been hit by a bus about 20 years before, and he had problems with his shoulder, and there's a whole thing about him badminton. He loves badminton, but he can only do this and he can't do that, and da 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 da. And like for me, the answer was like really obvious. And so it took 5 minutes. And one of the things that's really important is you have to get clear on what is the outcome we're aiming for. And so he was like, oh, if I could only do this overhead shot, I can't even get, well, 5 minutes later, he could do the overhead shot and there was no pain. And then I go, well, I guess we're done then. And I could just, and Eddie was like, you can't be done. That took 5 minutes. And he knows that he's paying for the session, and he's paying for the full session. And helping people to understand that the answer came in those 5 minutes, not because it was a 5-minute answer, but because of 30 years of learning allowed that answer to come quickly. But the most important thing there for you and your golfer and me with anyone I work with is you have to let go of the need for an outcome, because almost the need for an outcome is when we go so narrow. And when we can just let go, that's when the real magic happens, and that's when we discover other things that and the clients come out with an experience far greater than we could have imagined.
Yeah, but that's not easy, though. I mean, like,
yeah.
Especially when you know that you need it. If you like when things are good, you don't like, okay, you just do it because you like to do it. You like to see the result, and usually when I'm doing it with that intention, then the result, I understand, is the best. Yeah.
But I suppose that's when you can fall back on your faith, because the belief says that you are taken care of. Mm-hmm. and all that you need will be provided for you. So and it's a challenge for all of us. So if your belief says you are always held, mm-hmm. why would we ever be afraid? And yet we're so small and we're so human that we do, and we are, and we and we act out of fear, and we act out of pride and ego, and yet when we remember, then we'd go, oh, it's all exactly as it's meant to be.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's out of fear. It's out of not belief, actually. You're right. Didn't think about it, but yeah, you're right. I was worried.
Yeah. So I have a question for you, because you were doing almost more teaching the last time we were together than I was. So you were, teaching a lot in China, a lot in Indonesia, a lot in China. You were teaching Pilates. You'd also launched Linked, your program that you had designed, integrating a whole lot of things. And then suddenly you weren't teaching because you weren't able to with all the travel and the restrictions. And how?
Surprisingly, no, Douglas, I have to correct you.
Oh,
Surprisingly, in Indonesia, people, maybe because I don't know, but my education was even better than last year.
oh.
So it's
Okay,
like,
I'm stuck in an old conversation when maybe when we first went into lockdown last year, where you
yeah,
had kind of said, I think I've just cancelled 40 days of teaching in China and her. Okay, so sorry, I hadn't got the right message. So you've managed to continue in Indonesia as well.
in
That's awesome.
Indonesia, not in China though. Like in China, yeah, I missed a lot of opportunity. I think for a year, I guess, because usually I'm 5 months. I will 5 or 6 months. I would be there. But yeah. But anyway, what was the question before that?
Well, the question was going to be how you have dealt without having that teaching contact, because it is something that we learn. It becomes part of us, and I know that, like, I think that's the thing that I've missed, but obviously you've still got those components.
Yes, but it's just a different setting because in China is always a bigger group. Here is always a smaller group, so it's different. But yeah, I've been teaching quite a lot in the last 4 or 5 months. 4 months. The last 4 or 5 months. But before that, it's true. It's there was no not much going on. But I did some teaching in online as well, right? I launched the link
Yes.
online as well.
Yeah, I
It's
think that's become the way people have to do it in the world. It's not
yeah.
the same, but at least it gets the information out there.
I guess so, yeah. But it's not as good as especially if you're teaching something which is new.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a little bit difficult. But I've seen, I don't know what um you have another brand, right? I mean, like, not brand, but you have um your method.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the US, right? I've seen people here who learn it. That's amazing. I mean, like, from the US, I was like, why do you have to go to the US to learn that? I mean, like, Douglas comes here like once a year.
But I think that's all the game of good marketing and promotion, and maybe I'm not so good at that.
Yeah. In the US, they're always good with that, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, and then it's very huge, I think, with the lifter, with the I don't know, was that the deadlift? What do you call
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah, you know,
using it.
but you know what's so interesting is it would have been, let me just see, Matt 17, 18, 9, about 19 years ago. Yeah, it's around 18, 19 years ago. A gym group that I was doing work with had asked me if I could literally, for each piece of equipment, set up an activation sequence. And that people could, like, walk up to the machine, go, bench press, blah, 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 blah. And I was so adamant that that wasn't the right way to do it, because we knew, we did all the testing, that people got stronger. But what it meant is, if you were hitting all the spots and getting stronger without understanding, you actually long term could create more damage. So I think what's good now is, although it's the same market and it's the same idea, there's a lot more understanding of. At that point, I didn't have the 1, 2, 3 philosophy. I understood that I had areas of the body that could create change dramatically, but the 1, 2, 3 changed the messaging and how we bring it. So it's kind of Nazareth High School football team going, and Eric and Tom were doing stuff, and they invited me, and going and watching these 17-year-old, 18-year-old high school footballers doing their warm up, and having someone constantly going, "Come on, gentlemen, belly breathe. Come on, I want to see your bellies." And these are like these ego strong guys, and and that's when I realized that, okay, they've got it, you know, because they were putting the foundations in place, because once the foundation's in place, you can stack whatever you like on top. But a lot of times, what I found initially is everyone just wanted to go to, what's the thing just for this? You know, it's this. What's the elbow point? No, there's not an elbow point. There's a foundation phase you have to get. You get that, and then we can start having that conversation. But but just to go there, it might work, but there's a good chance it also won't work.
Yeah. I've seen them, you know, like because I think with these coaches, you know, they I don't know how they learn it. So it's like an activation sometimes. It's like you know, just because they only need certain, like the glutes or the, you know, the glutes. Usually they don't talk about the psoas that much, but so it works for them. So yeah, but I was talking to one of the famous coach, and then because he was asking me to teach him, I said like, no, you wait until Douglas come, because it's another experience. I can teach you the method, but you have to go with the lion himself if you want to.
With the what?
Yeah, I know.
That was just for you.
Yeah, you have to meet him because it's an experience. Because I think it's that's the problem with some of. Remember, I was telling you about my instructors, right? If they don't know, tell them, you know, like everyone who works for me, even the salesman has to go through his course, right?
Yeah.
So not salesman, but marketing people.
Yeah, marketing. Yeah.
Not salesman, but marketing people has to go through the course. So I think that's the problem, you know. If sometimes they're too lazy to explain what's the concept, why are you doing it, and I think that's part of the most powerful. I don't know how to say it, but
it is.
you know,
The understanding is where you hand it over to the client and you go, this is your body, this is how it works.
exactly, you know, maybe because remember I was telling you about that, maybe because I was inside with you, I don't know how many times, more than 30 times maybe. So
Yeah, we've done a lot of training together.
yeah, and then you know, with the client, with the real client, I was there, right,
Yeah.
translating.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think that really helps, you know, because then I saw like, oh, it's you always explain it, not all, but you know, not the whole concept, but then you know where they need it, but
Yeah.
the explanation. So I think a lot of like I've seen my instructors and my even my physios, they don't think it's necessary to explain, just they test, but okay, that's it, without really telling the. I don't know. Maybe they don't like stories. I like stories. I
No,
like I.
but Lily, I think you're spot on, and it's not just your guys. I think this is a thing that when people get this concept, that's a whole aha that they have, and they go, wow, my clients respond totally differently when I explain it to them. And I go, that's what we've said in the teaching. That's what almost everyone in the interviews will say. You know, like Christopher in Denmark, he, unless you understand your 1 2 3, he won't continue treating you, because he's realized that when you understand what your body's doing, it makes a total difference to the outcome. Boom.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
so he's not going to waste his time with you not knowing, when he can very quickly explain it. And if you go, I get it, he goes, awesome, just quickly tell me what you get. So you tell him, and if he goes, yes, you do understand, awesome. So now everything we do has a place. It fits in. The puzzle has meaning. Otherwise, it's just a whole lot of stuff. And someone walks out, hey, what did they do? Oh, I don't know. They push some points. They check some muscles, hurt me here, but I feel amazing. And there's no empowerment in that. All there is I went to Lily, she made me feel amazing. That's all I know. Whereas if I came away and said, wow, that's amazing, Lily taught me that my body, can you believe it? This arm is actually making this hip work. And people go, what? That's crazy. Yeah, but because of that, that's why my back's hurting, because it's doing this weird thing like that. whoa, I wonder what my body's doing. And then suddenly you've got a whole different conversation going on. And suddenly you find that your clients are coming in at a total different level because they actually want to know.
Yeah. And I believe as well that when their brain understands it, muscles are stupid, brains are smart, right? I think when you understand the concept, it's like it's your brain as well, their brain, I mean, that the nervous system itself, that and then I find that then it's a different level of they will still come to see you when they have, because life happens, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like they will come to see you again, but it's true, once they understand it, they have it in their brain, in the nervous system, then it's like they know at least how and what to do when they go back to the same situation.
I'm just absolutely love that statement. Muscles are stupid. That's brilliant, actually.
You don't want to say that to your clients are big, but I said it, like muscles are stupid.
They can interpret it that way, but the muscle is only doing what the nervous system tells it to do. That's it. So because you cut the nerve and the muscle dies. That's it. There's no great mystery. Everybody knows that. So why do we think the muscle is the magic? The muscle isn't the magic. The muscle is just telling us what the nerve is doing. And so we're testing the muscle, whether it be strength or flexibility or whatever other test there is, to say, I wonder what the nerve is doing and how well it's communicating with this muscle. Because if this muscle's not doing its job, then the nervous system can't be doing its job either.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, but I think that's the biggest. Now I realize, because I had plenty of time this year to sit and watch when my therapists are working. So I was like, oh, okay. They do it like I was telling you, right? They do, but not really as a whole approach, instead of because then if that's the whole approach, then whatever exercise or whatever they're trying to communicate with the client, that it will be always the like, for instance, for me in my world now, if they're doing Pilates, they want to do Pilates, okay, and then now I have new recruits. I told you, right? I have new
Yes.
recruits. Now the way I teach them is like the Pilates 1, 2, 3. It's not really Pilates 1, 2, 3, but I would say, like, why that person cannot do it? Can you see? Because can you see the pattern? So I think it's if they understand that whatever they're trying to teach the clients, or in my story is my therapist, then it all comes back to that foundation. And then when you explain to your client as well, they get it, like, but only now. So this season, this pandemic has changed us, I think, a lot as well, in a good thing, because now I realize why as well, like it's not as because everyone still, if they want to do 1, 2, 3, or they want to do activation, they go see me still. So I was like, they all can do it. Not only once, okay, some of them have been in your classes for like 6 times, like Daisy has been there in like 6 times or 7 times, right? So, but I think maybe I don't know, maybe because I was in your sessions with your clients, and they thought that the way you explain how the concept works, the 1, 2, 3, it's only for the course.
I think that's really important because what's interesting with you saying that is when we did the Parkinson's study in England in February,
Mm-hmm.
there were 6 therapists there as part of the study and 10 patients for the 4 days, and that was the big takeaway feedback from all of them, and a lot of them have been doing the activation for a long time, was how completely, like, almost it opened their eyes watching how I worked with real clients. and suddenly realizing probably the same as you, that I am explaining the whole way along. I am in, you know, I always say to people, I never stop talking. You know, we know this. That's why I can come and spend 10, 12 hours teaching in a day, because there's so much to say. But in a session, it's exactly the same, because I need my client to know that this links to that, and this is why this thing's happening. So if you break this link, that stops happening. You keep doing this, that keeps happening, you keep having pain. So if you come back and go, oh, I'm still in pain, I go, you're still doing this thing we discussed. Oh, I am. Well, then that's your fault, your responsibility. You know, let me slap you on the wrist. But so I definitely think, like, had the world not shut down a year ago, there would be a lot more programs where, like, let's say we do 2 days of teaching, then we have 1 day of maybe 4 clients coming in, and everyone just sits and watches. And we've, you know, like on original level 2s, like whatever that was, 12, 13, 14 years ago, every now and again we would bring a patient in. But that fell out because it was often difficult to bring in a patient, and depending on the group, you know, and the thing is, you know, in teaching, you often have that one interrupter. And when you have a client on the table, interrupters are not allowed, because the client can, you know, we still want the client to be good and have a good session. And those interrupters are the ones that always manage to disrupt that. And I realized that that's not a good enough reason not to do it. But the client sessions, yeah, it's not just how we teach it, it's how we do it. So I think that's a very good thing to kind of,
I guess I agree. Another 1 day is just to, I think it's easy, right? To tell everyone that one wants, like, no question, no nothing. You just watch from a distance, you know, keep your distance. And then,
yeah,
I think that's great, because then they know that it's the way you do it as well.
yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, I definitely think that.
I thought I was doing
Now
it as
you've got
well.
my brain going. I almost want to jump up and start writing notes on my wall. I actually, by the way, Lily, I've changed my office round. So I actually had to take all, like, this wall is normally like covered like 2 layers deep with all my crazy ideas and all of my what's in my head. And when I sat and put Zoom on before the session, I looked, I went, whoa, I know what's going to happen is people are not going to be listening. They're going to be trying to read the craziness that's there.
Okay, okay.
Good Lord, that's what he thinks. And the answer is no, that's not what he thinks. If it was in my head, I have to put it out there so I can look at it and go, do I think that? Is that what I think? So I have to challenge my own thinking, my own ideas. But I think that's a very important component, because, you know, the other day I worked with a pro surfer, just very basic. Let's do a simple assessment, 1, 2, 3, breathing zone 1, and that's all it was. But I filmed it.
Wait.
And it certainly was a, you know, it is what are the things that are needed to be said that are actually part of sessions. It's not you say it because it's nice to say. It's actually, no, we need to understand it. So I'm wondering, I'm thinking out loud, but maybe what I need to be doing in South Africa is having a whole lot of sessions and filming them, and then people, you know, like years ago I was actually going to do that. It was weird, but I was going to set up cameras in my treatment room, and then we just stream, and you know, and as long as you were okay that your life would be laid out in front of the world, come. Yeah. And I just, you know, I just never followed through on that. But maybe something like that is an idea that's it allows people who already know the work, they've learned the technique, they've learned the philosophy, but want to understand what does it actually look like when it's implemented.
Yeah. I think that's I for me, a session will always be like the one that you had, because I had so many experience
Yeah.
being there, and I didn't realize how powerful it was until this last. Like I was really watching my people, and they're not really doing it, and while actually they know it's powerful, they all experience it, right? They all talk about it, but somehow, or maybe because life was too easy. I mean, like people come to see them already.
Yeah,
They
you
had
don't
it.
have to do anything. People, Lily and her sales, I mean, marketing will just get your people, will put people in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah. They just sit and then just teach easy, and they had a nice life maybe because of that. And then suddenly, but then they just realized now that, when you're not used to that, then exercise only is just it's number two or number three, right? But this kind of thing, when you have pain, or you cannot breathe, okay, or you have, like you're stressed, or you cannot perform, you cannot move, I'm not talking about exercise,
Yeah.
then people still come and look for you. Then that's why I started to see that, actually they are missing it, because they didn't see the need of it, because life was easy, but then because they did not know as well that actually that's how it should delivered. I thought at the beginning it's because I teach as well,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I teach by telling stories, so I thought that was my way, but didn't realize it was because I saw you were doing it in the session that I did it as
Yes, yes,
well.
yes,
Maybe
yes,
that's
yes.
what happened.
Nice. I think that's huge. You, I forget what our gentleman's name is, but um, do you remember the genty? He came to your studio and we did a session there, and he came with his interpreter, which I thought was rather funny, and through his interpreter, he'd had the stroke, and he said he wanted, when he plays golf, he wants to be able to crouch down and be able to see the line of his putt, and this was through his interpreter and through this, and I just looked at him and I
Yeah,
said, bullshit. Yeah, and yes, in Indonesia, we are meant to be respectful, but when you come playing silly buggers, you're playing silly buggers. One, he understood English very well,
yes,
and
that's
two, he
the
hadn't
first time.
played golf for
The
6 months because of his stroke, and he couldn't, and da 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 da. But what I remember most was like, and the limitation was, it was very much in his feet, and locked, whichever ankle was like locked, and terrible color and all of that, and watching that all shift and change and unravel, and then and big man, like tall, really big man, and
yeah,
who really revealed himself when he got up. And the most amazing piece of feedback was, how do you feel? And his answer was, I feel confident.
yeah.
And it was like, that's interesting. What does that mean? And what it actually meant was,
Mhm.
his stroke made him feel unsafe, unconfident, so vulnerable. And
Mhm.
that's why he came with silly stories, and I want to play golf, I want to do this, and he was because it was deflection, it was fear, and then standing up, and this beautiful man striding, I feel confident. Why? Because he could actually now feel his feet on the ground, and he could
Yeah.
connect, and yeah, like, I love those, they like the puzzle of, but can you imagine if I'm not listening to the story, and my client comes in, same scenario, and goes, I want to be able to crouch low while and see the ball before I putt. And then you start to sweat because your brain's going, I don't think we can do that. And instead of calling your client out and saying, why would you want to do that? Or I don't, come on. So you never get the clear information what you're actually trying to do. Like, had I gone with that, and then we ended up kicking his interpreter out. We don't need you. Bye-bye. And
Yeah. The
yeah,
family still comes. The family still comes until now.
Yeah, but they're good people. But you know that you start to realize that what he was doing there, as much as he wanted to be better, he still was putting strategies to feel safe, and playing games was a
Mhm.
strategy to feel safe. And so being called on the game was the thing that allowed us to say, what do you really want and really need, and what are the real limitations? And sometimes, you know, and maybe it's a male thing, we don't actually want to say what's wrong, and we don't want to say what we can't do, you know, because when you're a proud, strong, very successful man who with a stroke is struggling to walk, doesn't feel safe. We had another one of those. I'm just, you see, I've suddenly realized we've had so many awesome ones. Do you remember in Bali
Yeah, the Bupati, the
where
guy who
where
lost his spot,
where
right?
what he wanted was to be able to walk through the streets when the crowds were there, and walk proudly, because he too had reached the point where he was struggling because of pain, and that he couldn't walk confidently, that there was a, and that was the goal. That was,
Mm.
and you kind of go, wow. So instead of saying, oh, we're trying to increase hip function and reduce pain, yeah, but the bigger picture is, the vision was to be able to walk. And it was a particular time of the year that there was a something happens in Bali, and as the governor of Bali, he was going to walk through. And that was amazing. And I remember having a little go at his doctor afterwards, who kind of, there he was standing going, this is amazing, I love the way I walk. Yes, but what about? And I said, dude, you were here because we allowed you to be here, and right now you've just overstayed your welcome,
Mm.
because he and I agreed to this was what we were working on. So your medical stuff, you need to back the hell off. And it was very important.
Yeah. The Bupati, I remember. Mayor, Mayor, yeah. I think it was the mayor. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just, it has been an amazing journey. And I think and we still have to do a lot of stuff in Bali, you know, that where people come to Bali when we're allowed to, and we maybe do a week of deep work, and yeah, maybe getting hundreds of people on the table and watching, and
You
obviously
know,
surfing at least twice a day.
Douglas, what came to my mind as well is like, um, after spending so much time with you and the clients, is like, that the art, not the art, but the of talking, of asking question. I think that's part of the not the interview, because usually we therapists we do interview, right? But not really interview, but asking the right question is super super important, I think, in this, because you need to get that trust, right?
Yeah.
At the very soon, like, because you're going to, you know, violate them, not really violate, but you know, sometimes you go.
I,
So
I, I know a certain madam who would say that.
so
I want to tell her story without mentioning her name, just to say she's highly powerful. But do you remember, with we'll just call her Madame, and Madame basically had organized for me to come, and and
Mhm.
and there were many negotiations in this, but she started very powerfully and said, I hear you hurt people. If you hurt me, the session is over. And I just smiled at her and I said, it's going to be a really short session. And she said,
Yeah, I remember
what? I said, you said, if I hurt you, the session will be over. I am going to hurt you. Therefore, it will be a
that.
very short session. And what that was a negotiation. That was a power struggle, because there we had, geez, 10 people watching, doctors,
Yeah,
advisors. Like, this is a rather powerful person in your country. And yet that negotiation there, that was the building of trust. That was me not going, oh yes, oh yeah, no, this is what I'm bringing. If you don't want it, it's okay. And then after that session, and like, actually I always say my favorite grandmother stepped off the table, and you and her spent the next 3 hours talking like stuff she'd never shared with the world, and while I worked with the other guys. And that was amazing, because for me that started, actually it started even outside, when the security were like, you can't come in flip-flops. I said, well, then I can't come in. I wear, and like you'd even told me, have you got shoes? I said, yes. And I pulled out those blue and yellow shoes. You go, oh God, you can't wear those. Those are worse than not wearing shoes. And so it was this constant standoff and power struggle. And in the end, the security had to let me in, because otherwise they would have to say to her that they didn't let me in. And that would be much scarier than letting me in flip-flops. And so it was this constant negotiation, but the negotiation is established, a meeting. So we were talking about in conversation, in tissue, we meet the tissue. What I was doing very, very consciously was I was meeting the resistance, and any place where I should have bowed my head and said, yes, whatever you want, is the moment I can't help her. And so when you do that with your client, and this to anyone listening, when you let your client dictate, you are no longer facilitating a session. They are controlling the session, and you will not get the results that you're looking for. And it doesn't mean you have to fight with your clients, but it's a negotiation. And and part of the negotiation is that someone says, well, if that's the way you want it, bugger off, leave. And then we would have gone, cool, we'll leave. And it's that negotiation that often is the tipping point in when somebody breaks through to something on the other side.
So that's what I was referring, when I said maybe, I don't know. The problem with you, Douglas, is like you have it's your gift, right? It's your talent. It's within you. I think the challenge is how to formulate, how to,
Yeah, not just the technique or the philosophy, but how to formulate the crazy brain.
Yeah. It's how to reproduce what because the technique itself is great. It works, right? But then it's bigger than that, right? If you really want to help people, then it's either you're born with that gift. I have that gift a little bit, but some of the people, they don't have it at all. So we need to, or you need to, like.
No, I like the we. I like we. We is good. We need to, yes.
You have to formulate the interview, or the asking question, or the making it a little bit. Well, you cannot reproduce it completely, because like I said, it has to be a talent or a gift, but at least you give them the
like a framework in which to
like it's not 100% guaranteed, but at least when they start it, when they don't, I read the Facebook as well, right? And then some of them are asking questions about, because if you're not like very comfortable with and very, very like confident with yourself, and then you don't have a lot of experience, it's kind of difficult, because and I think the trust is the first thing that is very, very, very super important.
Well,
some of them,
actually, Lily, what's amazing here is the story that I had shared with me 2 days ago was by Sally, and Sally's in Sheffield, and she did the hack program, which is the bungee, and it's this, and I just happen to have it because I'm playing with it right now while we're talking. And she found that the change in her confidence to be so much that when she went 2 days ago to go and do a session with her mom in her bubble, her support bubble, where her mom's had these issues for 21 years, and Sally 2 days ago realized that she was okay to share with her mom for the first time. And what they did together with the tools, and so Sally bringing her confident belief that she has something that can help her mom. Like she got her blowing a balloon up, which is what we did in the hack program. And like, but in there she had to blow all the negativity into the balloon and then let it go. So all the negativity got let go. That was the base. And then she got her like doing sit to stand, which is very uncomfortable and painful and difficult. And she rated it. And then she said she slipped the bungee over and she stood there and she suddenly found her glutes for the first time. And then they did the hack work. So they, in the bungee, they did the bungee plus this for 10 or 15 minutes. And afterwards, her overall scale was a 7, from a 3 to a 7, but her pain was gone. And Sally keeps sending me more information. And she, like last night, she put it on 3,000 stories as well. And she said, and she slept well, and her pain and her back pain's gone, and her this and her that. And all of that happens because Sally had the confidence to bring that to her mother, whereas before she felt that she didn't. And so I think I think that that's a very big part of it. That you know, when the hack program was created, it was very much around transformation, and it's transformation of the person doing it. And you know, there's so much feedback that there's a lot of people talking about that, like Norman, who did the interview, like afterwards basically says, had you asked me on Friday, I would have said, hell no, I don't want to do an interview with you, I'm too scared. Monday comes along and he's like, sure, I'm in. What's different? Well, I watched the hack program, then because he watched the recording, then he did what was on the recording, and then straight away was like, okay, I can do anything. And it's like, okay, awesome. You know, and Kirsten was the same. She also was like, I did the program and then I felt I could talk to you like this. Because one forgets, like I just talk, you know, I don't like the technology, but I have no issue with the talking. But maybe part of this process is about the confidence building, like a transformational program that's about confidence building. So you are able to bring yourself to a session, that you do bring your confidence and your belief, because then when you apply everything, it's much easier because you do it from a place of belief, not a place of hesitation, fear, or doubt.
Could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, you're giving me lots to think about.
At the end of the day, then the course will be like 8 days. If you keep on adding things.
Yeah, but that's why it has to be in Bali, so that we can go surfing in the morning and surfing in the evening. See, and then it's a-okay.
I think, yeah, usually we do like 2 days, 3 days,
4 days.
4 days, like 1 and 2, right? So yeah, that's a
and the one time we did the 5 days, which was when we did the movement, and that for me was an amazing day, because we were taking Pilates exercises, and what was so awesome about that was each exercise has a name, has instructions on how you teach it, what do you look for, what are the limitations, what do you want, what do you don't want. So there was no doubt what. So we had 20 people in the workshop, so there were 20 exercises they had to choose, and then, like, if it was you would tell me about the exercise, you'd demonstrate to me, and you'd tell me how you teach it, and then we would 1, 2, 3 that same movement, and we'll just say 1, 2, 3 the movement, and then you did it again. And what we found was how many times the thing that people struggle with the most in that movement suddenly wasn't there anymore. And then, of course, this is a really important part when you do any intervention. Don't just have the start and the end. Then we also always made them go back and do it the other way. So they really had a comparison. And it was amazing, because 20 out of 20, the person demoing, when they went back to the other way, were like, oh no, that feels terrible. Okay, awesome. Because now your brain goes, okay, that was the best way, but I found a better way. You know, we don't want to ever say something's wrong. It's not wrong, that you're already doing a movement. How do we make the movement better, more effective, less energy, less risk of damage? and more efficient.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed doing that too.
And then that's what I'm telling my instructors to. Suddenly I realize that's what I'm telling my instructors to do. If you are not confident doing the 1 2 3 the whole session, because people don't come to you for that, they come to you to exercise, then see what. So we had sessions, we had like a brainstorming together, and then like, look at this is one of the exercise, so I did what you did. And then think about the activation that you can do. You don't have to do the whole thing, but bringing it in a little bit, and then maybe once in a while when they really need it, then you can do the whole activation. But now that's what I was thinking they might be doing. They see they cannot do this, then that's when the activation comes in handy, only for one part, instead of
to break through a barrier, so the client leaves going, wow, I couldn't do this, now I can, and that changes their whole day, their whole week, because they suddenly, something that was impossible becomes possible. And I think that's really what one of the things that's really important, to take what someone thinks they can't do and show them they actually can. And how different somebody is when you go from that place to this place. It really is. That's the stuff where it gets really exciting.
Yeah, and then if you decided, like some of the students as well, they decided that they don't have the courage, they don't have the confidence, they don't have to do the whole session. At least they can still benefit from getting.
So you're still doing a little bit, so you maintain the momentum. Awesome. Well, Lily, I think that's a really good part 1.